Here he comes. Let me know when I can start. Do I need to talk into this? Okay, okay. Good morning, everybody, and good morning to anybody who's watching online. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on this very busy day here at West Suburban Temple Har Zion. This is my last official event as Vice President of Fundraising for our temple, and I can think of no more meaningful event than today's event to hear from Isaac and his accounts, his experiences as a hidden child in occupied Greece during the Second World War. His story really is truly miraculous. The Greek Jewish community was almost totally decimated during the Nazi occupation. Roughly 90% of Greece's ancient Jewish community was destroyed during World War II. That Isaac and his siblings and his parents survived is a story that should be told time and time again. Isaac has written a book about his experiences and subsequent immigration to the United States. We have 19 copies of his book for sale at $20 a copy. All proceeds of the sale will go to the synagogue. So, with no further ado, please welcome Isaac Daniel.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. Larry, sorry. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, where do we start? Okay, the Holocaust, Well, the person who introduced the term Holocaust to apply to the Jewish Holocaust was Elie Wiesel, as you know. And then I had the privilege of having a dinner with Elie Wiesel and 3 or 4 other people when he came to Chicago to give a speech at the Horwitz Center. That was many years ago. At the dinner, we talked, and we said, Elie Wiesel said, the Holocaust is a unique situation. It has never happened to anybody else except long, long time ago when the Romans obliterated the Etruscans. And that was the only thing that can qualify as a Holocaust. Today, the term Holocaust is bandied around by anybody who has a gripe or something, a little atrocity or thing. They call it Holocaust. That's not Holocaust. Holocaust is genocide on a large scale for a long time for the purpose of eliminating a nation, a civilization, a tradition. That was that Holocaust. Anyway, and okay, wait a minute. Okay, now, first of all, another thing, and yet today, people apply the term Holocaust to anything I said. In addition, however, the true Jewish Holocaust is unknown to many people. The latest statistics show that 20% of the young American people, 20%, they think the Holocaust is a myth, a hoax. They don't even believe it existed. And the rest of it is different degrees, everything. Anyway, get to my story. This is the story of our family, a traditional religious family in Greece, family of 6, including my youngest brother, which at the time was 2 years old, how we managed to survive through incredible circumstances, including being arrested 3 times, and one of those times we were incarcerated in a transit camp waiting for the next train to Auschwitz. We missed the next train to Auschwitz from Greece, the 18th train, by 3 days. It was supposed to leave June 1. How we got out was one of the miracles. Anyway, what is it? Oh, okay. And I said the Jewish community in Greece goes way, way back. It was a community at the time following Alexander the Great Empire, a Hellenistic period. After that, it became part of the Roman Empire. After that, the Roman Empire split into two, became part of the Byzantine, or the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire. And then the Byzantines were conquered by the Turks. The community became part of the Ottoman Turkish Empire, and so on and so forth. And then this part of Greece where I was born eventually came under Greek administration. So the Jews have lived under many, many administrations. But the Jewish community had people in the beginning, all from the Roman Empire, and then people, even people from Central Europe were coming occasionally from Greece, from Middle Europe. You know, especially some of them escaping the Khmelnytsky pogroms in Russia, came to. But the biggest influx of Jews to Greece was from Spain and Portugal. In the 15th century, following the expulsion of the Inquisition and everything, I believe most of my ancestors came from Spain because, but eventually the Spanish-speaking Jews prevailed and became the dominant culture, and they spoke this Spanish Jewish called Ladino, which is like Yiddish. It's as close to Spanish as Yiddish is to German and everything. It has other words in Turkish and Greek and everything, and Hebrew and everything. So I spoke Ladino fluently, as I said, in my first 9 years. I spoke it at home, obviously, and I spoke it at play, when I played with my friends in the ghetto, and then I spoke it also at school, because in my first few years, 3 years to school, I went to a Jewish school. Even, I was born in the largest community in Greece, Jewish community, Salonika, Thessaloniki. It was, at one point, the beginning of the 20th century, Salonika has a Jewish population of close to 90,000, which was more than half the population of the city was Jewish. And people started emigrating to different places. And then, however, at the beginning of the war, there were still 53 to 55,000 Jews left in Salonika. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. So then, I was born there, but my father's family actually came from another little town near Salonika called Veria. Oh, no, this is, okay, I don't know. Yeah, skip that. Yeah, okay. Now this Salonika. Okay, this is the landmark of the city. Is the so-called White Tower. It's just a medieval fortress and prison. It's the landmark of the city. There were over 50,000 Jews before the war. Okay, go ahead. Now, Veria is the little town near Salonika. Okay, yeah. It had a Jewish population at the beginning of the war, at the time of the war, about 800 Jews in a town of about 20,000. Okay, about 800 Jews and everything. But the community was a very cohesive community. Yeah, we had one synagogue, one school, Jewish school, and one cemetery. That's all. Yeah, most Jews lived inside the enclosed old ghetto, but many of them lived outside the ghetto. Like we had a house just outside, and then, but they tell me in all times the ghetto, which had 2 gates, these gates closed every day at night. They locked themselves in just for protection, and whenever there was an epidemic in town, they locked themselves for weeks until the epidemic was gone, just to be safe. Okay, go ahead. Oh, this is the old synagogue. Now, the building itself is not, it's about 200 years old or so. But the foundations go back to 2,000 years. So the Christian apostle Paul, which was a Jewish guy named Saul from the town of Tarsus in Turkey, and then he, he actually was preaching only to synagogues, speaking in synagogues. He didn't have any interest in talking to anybody else. He was talking about, you know what he was talking about. But the Jews said, we don't need another prophet. We have enough problems. You know, they just so Saul or Paul gave up on the Jews, went to Athens, where there were no Jews, no synagogue, and he started preaching to the Gentiles. He says, okay, I preach. He says, well, it sounds Jewish what you are preaching, but don't. But we love our pork cutlets, pork chops. Don't worry, you can do anything you want so long as you have faith. Circumcision, oh, that hurts. Don't worry, so long as you have faith, you don't have to do anything, nothing Jewish. That's when she completely cut off his ties with Judaism, and then he went on to Rome, and the Romans didn't tolerate him for too long, and they killed him. So, that was the beginning of Christianity. Paul, it was the year 50. He came to the synagogue. Okay, all right. So talking about the ghetto in Veria, this is a bridge. To the left here, there's the gate to the synagogue, the south gate, and then go inside. And this is inside the ghetto, and this is the south gate. Okay. This is okay. Now, okay, no. Oh, this is one of the. Oh no, the other one before that. Okay, that thing. This is one of the small buildings in the synagogue, which has very old memories for me. Yeah, there's one family here. The Pipano family lived there. They were distant relatives of ours. And this yellow thing on the main floor was the only grocery store in the ghetto. And the owner was Hanoch Pipano. And his son, one of his sons, his name was Yehoshua, but we call him Torres in Ladino. And in a diminutive form, Torresico. He was my best friend in the Jewish school, Torresico. We went to Jewish school, and the first when I went to Jewish school, it was by law. Jews had to attend Jewish schools. There was segregation. I don't know if it was imposed or not, but we liked it. The government supplied the Greek teachers for the secular courses, and the Jews supplied Hebrew teachers for the Jewish content. So they even issued special textbooks. There was a separation of church and state in Greece at the time. So the textbooks in the normal school had reference to Christmas and everything, Christian things. But they issued special textbooks for the Jewish schools. So with the Jewish references, they had all the names, the holidays, all in Greek. So anyway, that's another building in the ghetto. And look at this mark here. This has been preserved. The municipality preserves it. And go ahead, and next one is a close-up. An old building, he says in Hebrew, Im eshkachach Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If I forget your Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its cunning. It's a quotation here, so gives the reference in the subtitle. So this is still preserved today. This is a view of the community of Beria. And it's a mark here, let me see. Here's our house. Here's our house. Here's let me see. There's the school. This is the synagogue. And there's a river here. There's a river that goes through the town. So the ghetto was here, but we lived outside the ghetto at our house here. Okay. Now, I got the same picture from a Google view, top view. That's it. That's the river. And then the cemetery was over here. The cemetery was here, the synagogue, the school, and our house here. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the oldest picture I have of my family. This is in the front row is my grandfather, Aaron, and my grandmother, Esmeralda Sarfati, Daniel, Aaron Daniel, and I'll tell you where the name Daniel comes from. In my family, my father's family, Jews did not have last names. And like even in Europe, in the beginning they have last names. They took their father's name as their last name. So my great-grandfather was Yaakov Daniel. His son was Daniel Yaakov. And then my grandfather was Aaron Daniel. So when the Greek administration came in power, it says to the Jews, wait a minute, stop changing names like this. Stick with whatever you are using right now. At the time, my grandfather was using Daniel, and that stayed. That's how my name came about. Oh, what? Oh, they're wearing feathers because this picture was taken before 1912, when it was still under the Turkish administration. My father is right back here. He's about 10 years old, something like that. Yeah, so my father here. And that's my uncle, the next, right. My father was the youngest of 8 children. They were also my uncle, this is my uncle Samuel. This is my uncle Daniel and his wife Esther. And this is my father's sisters, Rachel and Oro. And this is my oldest of my father's sisters, my aunt Reina and her husband Samuel Sarfati, and their daughter Allegra. And there's my grandfather, my grandmother. And this little boy here is the son of Daniel and Donna Daniel. Okay, this goes back before 1910 or something like that. Anyway, okay. Now let me see. Just back up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, my father's sister's show there. Let me see which one. Let me see. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Here, Rachel had a family of 5 children. The entire family perished in the Holocaust. Oro had a family of 4 children. The 2 boys escaped. The rest of the family perished in the Holocaust. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. So this one, Allegra here, by the time she was married to a school teacher, and she had a little daughter, they perished in the Holocaust. So anyway, that's, okay, go on. Okay, this is my mother's side of the family. This is my grandfather, Isaac Modiano, an Italian name. And I tell you, this is my grandmother, Sarah Frances Modiano. And then this is my mother and my Aunt Julie. My Aunt Julie and her family perished in the Holocaust. This is my Aunt Lucy and my Aunt Lucy and my grandfather, and this is and Julie. There's the Modiano family. Let me tell you something about the Modiano family, my mother's family. I'll tell you about my father's family, had been in Beria. But my mother's family, my mother was born in Turkey. She was raised in Greece. But since she was Italian, she went to Italian school where she studied French. But at home, she spoke Spanish because she was Jewish. Okay? It's all true. Anyway, my mother's family comes from the Modiano family. Modiano, you may have heard, the latest mention of the Modiano family was when Patrick Modiano from Paris got the Nobel Prize in Literature a few years ago. Yeah, just about 4 or 5 years ago. No, but there was another Modiano by the name of Modigliani who got the Nobel Prize in economics a few years ago. He was in Rome and then he went to MIT. Anyway, I mentioned Modigliani. Okay, you probably have heard of the painter Modigliani, Amedeo Modigliani, those who are in art. Let me tell you a story. There was this little town in Italy, close to Florence, called Modigliana. The mayor of Modigliana wanted some kind of a banker or something, money dealer in town. It was nothing. You know, the farmers could not do any transactions, etc. So he invited this Jew from the town of Fano. His name was Moshe Mifano, or in Italian, Mosè da Fano, near the Adriatic coast. So Moses Fano, or Mosè da Fano, or Moshe Mifano, was at the invitation of the mayor, came to the little town of Modigliana and set up a little money business. She put a bench on the sidewalk, banco. That's where the word bank comes from. It was bank means bench. They had no stores, no big buildings. He just put a bench on the sidewalk. He started doing business, lending money to the farmers so they could buy the seed and everything, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the bishop of the area heard about it, told the mayor, sorry, mayor, the Jews belong only the ghetto of Rome and Venice. They cannot live in this town of Modigliana. They're not allowed to live in every town they want. You know what the mayor did? He says, what he did, he says, we needed the bank more than the blessing of the bishop. So this Monse D'Afano stayed there with his family, extended family. Recently, the Modigliano family said, and then the Modiglianis, the people from this family started spreading out different cities. They didn't stay there forever, all of them. So one of them went to Livorno, and that's produced the famous painting Modigliani. Now, if you have Modigliani painting today, I heard they can go for over $200 million if you have an original painting. Well, at home, I have a painting, a copy of Modigliani that my mother painted in her old age. I said, it's an original copy. I keep it at home, anyway. So when the Modigliani went to Salonika, it was the community was freer in the Turkish Empire, went to Salonika, and people said, what's your name? You're Modigliano, which means I'm from Modigliana, like Chicagoan. And said Modigliano, tried to spell it in Hebrew, and became shortened to Modiano. So Modiano and Modigliani is the same thing, okay? Anyway, so we are proud, and we still, the family, until very recently, had family reunions all over the world. The first reunion we had was in Florence. We had about 200 people. You were there. Becky was there. Becky was there. That's my daughter Becky, the illustrator of the book. As I said, okay. Anyway, we attended the first reunion in Florence, and we took a trip to Modigliana, and we saw the old ghetto. You know what the old ghetto was? A 3-story building. That was the ghetto. Everybody was a 3-story building. And the main floor was the synagogue and everything. Everybody lives in upper stories. That's it. Yeah, and it's still there, maintained. And they showed us the charters of the city, and they showed the names. Okay, all right, okay. Okay, life before the storm, Okay, all right. Okay. I told you, my father was the eighth of eight children of Aaron Daniel, and Esmeralda Sarfati Daniel, and my mother was the second daughter of Isaac Modigliano and Sarah Frances Modigliano, and et cetera, et cetera. Shortly before the war started, we moved to Veria, as I mentioned that. I started Jewish school. Now, let me tell you something about my grandmothers. On my father's side, my grandmother was called Esmeralda Sarfati. Sarfati in Hebrew means French. And my grandmother on my mother's side was Sarah Frances, which also means French, which means both my grandmothers had some French origin. That's very likely because France expelled its Jews before Spain did. The Jews in southern France, they were expelled in the year 1200, 1300. I mean, they were expelled. So many of those Jews took the name Sarfati in Hebrew, or Frances, etc. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Okay. Let me see what else history-wise. Okay. Oh, no, just a minute. Thank you. I'll read that. Okay. No. So that's the tradition. Now. Also, my uncle had told me that my grandmother, Esmeralda Sarfati, originally okay, from France, but they came through Sicily. They lived in Sicily for a few years, centuries, until the Inquisition came to Sicily and expelled its Jews. The Jews left Sicily. So my grandmother was also partly Sicilian. Okay. Oh, okay. No. Okay. Oh, tradition in Veria. I lived in Veria. I have memories as a little child of life in Veria. This was in Veria, in front of a little apartment. That's my older brother, Aaron, with his crew cut, and myself with all this hair yet. Yeah, it was traditional. My mother didn't want us to have our hair cut, and then when they shaved us, when we had to go to school, they would shave our head. But my mother kept parts of the samples of the hair. Yeah, no, parts which we lost some. That's right. Okay, that's okay. Preschool in Beria. Go ahead. Next. Oh, this is the school in Beria that we entered. The school it had three main rooms. The one on the left over here. Okay, here was the first grade, the larger grade. It had all the desks, and then the second grade was here, and the third and fourth grade were both combined here. And after the fourth grade, according to the system in Greece at the time, we had to go to high school, and high school was mixed, so it was Jews. Now, by the way, these are the desks of the first grade, and one of them must have been my desk. I don't know which one. They was after the war. It was stored in the back of the synagogue, you know. So, yeah, that's okay. No, okay. Oh, then what happened? How did Greece come in? You know, everything was running along. The Jews were very happy, even though segregated, completely segregated. It was complete segregation. We Jewish kids played among ourselves. We spoke Ladino. We didn't get along with Christian kids. In fact, we had fights. They used to throw stones at us and everything. It was always, you know. And the Jewish kids couldn't learn swim because the good swimming part was outside the ghetto. We couldn't go there. The other kids would chase us, you know, anyway. So then came the Nazi period. You know, Hitler came to Germany in 1933, and first they started controlling speech. Then, wait a minute, controlling speech. Then they started burning books, and eventually they burned synagogues and burned buildings and houses, and ended up burning people. That's what happened in Germany. Now, Greece was not affected by the war until October 28, 1940, when Mussolini, who was an ally of Hitler, sent a telegram to an ultimatum to Greece: let me in. In other words, he wanted just to occupy Greece. And the Greek government says no. And that's when the war between Greece and Italy started. And interestingly, even though Greek was not very well prepared, everything, we were fighting the Italians back in Albania. And the first casualty of that war was the only high-ranking Jewish officer in the Greek army, Mordechai Frisis. He was the first casualty. Today, his statue stands in his hometown. Now, so then, but Italy was losing, so Hitler came to the help of Italy, and then in April 6, they came and invaded Salonika, and then in April 9, they invaded Salonika and everything. So they occupied all of Greece now. So, okay, next. Okay. Now, Greece was then the Bulgarians entered, but Bulgarians were allies of the Germans. So Bulgarians, Italians, and Germans came to Greece, and they divided the country into 3 occupation zones. The red one here in northern Greece, and here near the Turkey, and these islands here, and part of this island of Crete, was the German occupation. Dark red is German. And then the green was the Bulgarians. Bulgarians occupied a part of that. Of Greece, allies of the Germans, The rest of it is was brown here, gold brown, occupied by the Italians. Okay. So, but okay, go ahead. Next. Okay, that's the Greek German army entered in Salonika. Okay, go ahead. And then, as soon as they entered Salonika, the rest of the Jewish Community Council, and they took the chief rabbi of Salonika, Tzvi Koretz, the chief rabbi of Salonika, who was actually German educated. He was very highly educated rabbi, Tzvi Koretz, and they took him to Austria. They kept him for a few weeks, whatever. What they did to him, I suspect they so brainwashed him. I know, they tortured him, they brainwashed him. So when Rabbi Koretz came back, people asked him, what's happened? What's going on? No, don't worry, just follow orders, everything. He just tried to pacify the community. And that was his greatest bad act, so to speak. Yeah. And then the German people came, scholars even, and they took all the Old Testament, treasures and books and manuscripts that the Jewish community had that go back centuries and centuries. They load them all in about 500,000 books and manuscripts, and they shipped them all to Germany because they were very precious, and they appreciated that. German scholars wanted to take them. They took everything, all the scholarly things, because Salonika history was going back, as I said. In 1941, was famine throughout the country. Okay, next. Then they didn't touch the Jews right away. All they did is they just put signs that the Jews could not go to movies, could not ride streetcars, and all that. But someday, one Saturday, what was it, 1942? What's the date? July 11, 1942. What's a Saturday? They, prior to that, they announced that all Jewish men of ages 18 to 45, they should show up, they present themselves in this big square of Salonika, and if not obeying this order was punished by death. We shoot. Anybody who doesn't show up will be shot. So 9,000 Jewish men showed up in this square. This is a picture of that. One partial picture of that. They just had them. It was July 12, as I said, hot day in Salonika. People was just dying of heat, and they made them do calisthenics there for hours and hours and hours. Some people fainted, some died, but the majority stayed through. But they kept them, and they used the time to register them. They registered them all, and then. And the next one. Okay. Oh, no. Okay. Before that, yeah. They registered them all. Then soon after that, they called them for hard labor. They started recruiting those men and sent them to do hard labor in different parts of Greece to fix the railroad tracks, to fix the roads, And most of these people were not even used to that. They were just dying of malaria and everything. Wait a minute. But interestingly enough, a week later, not even a week later, this was a Saturday, and the following Thursday, there was a roundup of Jews in France. All the non-French citizen Jews registered. They were rounded up starting Thursday morning, was July 16, from dawn and all 13,000 non-French citizen Jews, they were rounded up and put in the stadium in a camp, detention camp. 13,000, including 4,000 children. What did they do with them? Well, soon after that, they started shipping them east to Auschwitz. And interestingly enough, That roundup in France, which was on a Thursday, is referred to Jeudi Noir. Jeudi Noir means Black Thursday. Was, it was not a single German soldier, not a single German officer was involved in the roundup. It was all done by French police. Yeah, that's everything was done. You know, the whole Holocaust thing was just. It was. They couldn't have done without the participation of the local authorities. They managed to convince people to do all the dirty work for them. So the Germans didn't know who was Jewish for them, but the French police, with their loose list, they did their job. Okay. So anyway, so these Jewish laborers were recruited to this concentration in a square were held like hostages. The community was clamoring with the German authorities. We want our men back, our fathers, our brothers, Well, says, well, if you pay ransom, we can discuss returning the hostages, so to speak. Okay, how much ransom? So the community tightened their belts. They did everything they could. They came up with what today would be $60 million. They gave it to the Germans to return some of these Jews back. But then the last minute, Maximilian Merten, the German commander there, came up with another request. He wants something else, because the Greek municipality had another request of their own. Well, the Jewish cemetery occupies too much space. We want part of that space for the municipality. Okay, says Merten, tells the Jews, in addition to the ransom, we want to take the land of the Jewish cemetery. This Jewish cemetery, Salonika, had graves that went back, 1,000 years or more, had 500,000 tombstones, maybe, something like that. My grandparents were there. So after a lot of negotiations, Merten, this guy Merten, which is this guy, Maximilian Merten, agreed maybe you leave a little spot for the current needs of the community. That's it. And they took the rest. Now, the other commanders of the German command was Adolf Eichmann, came to Salonik also. Dieter Wischliseni was another guy. And then Alois Hinman. Alois Berner. Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, I'll tell you later what happened to them, but I can tell you, what happened to Eichmann. He eventually was arrested in Argentina, taken to Israel, was tried and hanged. Wischliseni escaped the Nuremberg trials and went back to Czechoslovakia, but fortunately for us, he was arrested right away and tried and hung. This guy, Alois Brunner, escaped, of all places, to Syria and lived the rest of his life in anonymity. Nobody heard anything from him anymore. He just disappeared in Syria, and that's it. Okay, all right. Oh, so this is, and then what happened is they started rounding out all the Jews from Salonika, side of Salonika. That was the beginning of 43. It was after most of the roundups in the rest of Europe. The beginning of 1943, they started rounding up the Jews in 3 different ghettos, and then one of the ghettos was very conveniently located near the railroad station. It was called the Baron Hirsch ghetto. Baron Hirsch. Baron Hirsch, you may have heard of this Baron Hirsch, the Jewish philanthropist who helped Jews, communities all over the world. So he donated money to build this community for the poor Jews of Salonika, and included some refugees from other parts of Europe. So, but this Baron Hirsch ghetto was conveniently located near the railroad station. It was fenced off with barbed wire and fences, and it turned into a transit camp. So first thing in February of 43, started shipping them at a rate of about 20 to 25,000 per shipment, per convoy. They brought cars, animal box carts, and they started shipping them to Auschwitz. And this, and this is a Polish document keeping records of arrivals in Auschwitz. The numbers are okay, but not 100%. But it is all in Polish, but this shows the convoy number of people. And as soon as they arrived there, how many people were selected for work and how many people were sent to gas chambers right away, how many men, how many women, and all that stuff. It's in the book. Okay, all right. What? Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. So I'll come to that. No. Keep going. Okay. Now. So they were shipping Jews from Salonika and some other cities at a rate of about 25,000 per shipment. And sometimes there were one or two shipments a week, or maybe even three. So when they were just running out, people in the little community of Beria where we were said, well, people were that scared. Some of the people started escaping and going to the mountain villages. My two uncles did that. And then and we tried to do that. We tried, and we had to turn back for some reason and everything. Then we heard there was a rumor. It was a rumor. We heard the news that of all these Jews, any Jews who were Italian citizens were exempted because Italy was an ally of the Germans. So Mussolini did not agree to send Italian Jews to Auschwitz. So then, and what's this? Okay, let's stay there. So, and we decided, well, since my mother was born an Italian citizen, maybe we have a chance we may be exempted. So we stayed in our apartment, which was partly below ground on one side, almost like a basement apartment. We stayed there, and many of the Jews from the town were 800, not many, but several of them, including my uncles, sent their families to the mountain villages and came, doing fine. So then people were saying in Veria, well, they're not going to bother with our Jews in the little town. There's too much trouble. Maybe they'll stay only for Salonika, But, and the Jews had no idea what was going to happen. And then when the rumors came that, they're sending the Jews to Poland. Where Poland? Oh, Krakow. Oh, one guy from Veria saying, well, I'm a good tailor, so when we get to Krakow, I'll open my tailor shop. Maybe I'll do some good business there. Another Jewish guy says, I have some tooth problems. I hope when we get to Krakow, I can find a good dentist. People were thinking that it was just a change of place. They're going to give us apartments there. Maybe they want all the Jews together. Maybe they're going to start a Jewish country there in Poland. All kinds of strange rumors. And then there was only one old lady in the ghetto I remember about. I call it senile, but people say don't call it senile. A senile old lady who was saying, nos van a matar a todos. They're going to kill us all. Shush, old lady, you don't know what you're talking about. Why would they kill us all? We haven't committed any crimes, we haven't anything. And they thought she was crazy to say that. Okay. So anyway, Then we tried to continue with our lives as best we could. And even though they had deported most of Salonika Jews. And then we even tried to celebrate Passover in 1943. I don't know how we managed and everything. And we went to services. This is our synagogue, the interior of the synagogue in Beria, after it cleaned up after the war. You can see the Aron Kodesh there, and our seats were on this side, on this wall. There were series of benches here. This is where we kept the Torah scrolls, and on this side of here there was the Biba. Anyway, so it was. We managed Passover with uncertainty, and then came the last day of Passover. It was Tuesday, April 27, 1943. We were sitting. My father was very religious. He said, I have to go to services. So you want to come along? And I said, I'll go along because I like services. I went to my father. My older brother, Aaron, says, I don't feel like it today. I'll stay home in a little basement apartment. So anyway, so my father and I went there. And my uncle, Joseph, who had already sent his family to the mountain villages, but he stayed home to watch over his stuff and everything. Yeah, he had a family with 10 children, and his wife, he has sent them to a mountain village. And then also my uncle Samuel had 6 children. But when Jews were escaping to the mountains, police and other Jews and everything were keeping track of them. They were resenting that people were escaping. They were resenting them. They were watching them. So everybody was watching my Uncle Samuel. He says, well, you're going to escape too? Well, I said, I don't know. He says, well, certainly I would not do it on a Sabbath, on a Shabbat. And that's exactly what he did. Nobody was watching him. So on a Friday night, he and his family just sneaked out and then left the town. Nobody was watching him then. Everybody was watching it every other day. So according to my rabbi, says it's all right to violate the Sabbath if it's for the sake of life, called pikuach nefesh. Okay. So anyway, so we was it was the last day of Passover. I said Tuesday, April 27, 1943. We're sitting there. I was sitting here on this side with my father, and also my Uncle Joseph, who has sent his family of 9 people already, but he stayed here to watch his house and everything. We're sitting there, the 3 of us. All of a sudden, 3 policemen showed up at the door, the main door. 3 Greek policemen at the town, and a Jewish man sort of interpreted everything. So his name was Edgar Cunyo, I think. Anyway, they came to the front door and they blocked the door. People panicked, Says, police says, don't worry, keep quiet, continue with your services. And my father says, let's get out of here. My Uncle Joseph says, well, my family is already out in the mountains. Well, get the hell out of here. He says, okay. But they got out, but I didn't follow them right away because I had just learned to read Hebrew and I had to finish the Amidah. I stayed back. So they went out. They thought I was following them. I didn't. When they reached home, my mother was panicking. She came to the synagogue. And she brushed the policeman away. She just grabbed me by the hand. She dragged me out. She took me out. And we went, our family, back to the basement apartment. And then said, let's get out to the mountains too. So my mother said to me and that was miracle number 1, escape from the synagogue. It turns out that the 3 people, my father, my uncle, and I, was the 3 people who eventually survived from the thing. Nobody else did. So anyway, okay, that was miracle number 1. So anyway, wait a minute. So we went to the basement apartment. My mother says, the best thing is for my father and myself and my brother Aaron to get out, walk towards the mountain, secure find the village and send this guy that we knew, Michalis, a Greek guy, to come and fetch the rest of the family secretly. So we went, and this is, according to the book, this is, see this red thing? We started walking and walking and walking, and then we came to the river. We came to the river Al Yakmon. Usually there used to be a bridge there, but the British had already blown up the bridge, and it was replaced with a scaffold. And then we're approaching the bridge to cross so we can go to the mountain villages and to make arrangements for the rest of the family and everything. But there was a guy who recognized my father. He says, hold it, don't go there. There are German guards, they're checking everybody there, papers and everything. So we had no choice, turn back. So let's go home because my mother was still there, my baby brother was there, so we couldn't leave them alone. So we started walking home. On the way home, we have to rush home. So my brother Aaron says, I cannot walk anymore. I like to take a break. I like to sit down, have a little snack. Okay, says my father. We sat down for about 15 minutes or so, and we had a snack before we continued walking home. It was a long walk and everything. And then, miracle number 2 was when the guy, you warned us not to cross the river. No. Don't go to the bridge. Okay, the bridge. Okay, you can. So we took a rest of about 15 minutes or so, took a snack, and then walked home. And then we managed to go home, and then we reached my mother in the basement. She was in a panic. She says, if you were here 5 minutes earlier, the police, the Gestapo, was searching all the Jewish homes to see if there anybody Jews left. And since I was hiding in the basement, nobody checked us here. If you had come here 5 minutes earlier, you would have run into them and would have caught you. Miracle number 3. So we stayed in the basement hiding. So let's see what to do now. So in the basement, we had a Greek friend, Stavros, who says, don't worry, I'll help you. So you stay in the basement hiding. I'll do all the shopping for you. I'll bring you food and everything. But I won't be sleeping here. I'll pretend to live here, but otherwise I will just bring you food and then I'll be leaving at night. So that's what he was doing. But then the rest of the apartments of this complex where my uncle, my grandfather used to live were empty. So they brought Greek refugees from the Bulgarian-occupied zone. But those people were not very friendly. They wanted to get rid of us, and they wanted to start digging and looking for the treasures that the Jews were supposed to have. So they probably talked too much, and the Greek police found out that they didn't want to get in trouble with them because these people told them about us. So the Greek police came one day, said, sorry, we have to follow orders, we have to take you. Okay, but the thing was, whenever they found any Jews hiding, there was no second chance. They would shoot them on the spot. There was this Asher Ben-Rubi family. He was a widower with 7 children. He was hiding in a place, 3 children in one place and 4 in the other place. They caught him, and they shot him and 4 of their children. The other 3 somehow escaped. So it happened before. Also, 2 Jewish girls, Rachel and what was her name? The Alvo sisters were hiding in a village. Some of the people in the village, they turned them over to the Germans. They took them to the road outside. They shot them on the spot. That was what was happened. So when they caught us, we're subject to be shot like this. But then my mother says, I'm an Italian citizen. well, let's go to the German command and have it. And so the German command, we took us to the German commandatur, and the German commander was sitting on the top spot, looking down at us, and the Greek interpreter was saying, "Why didn't you surrender like everybody else and go on a train?" My mother says, "Well, I'm an Italian citizen. I was born an Italian citizen, blah, blah, blah." The Greek interpreter was answering, "That doesn't count, because once you marry the Greek citizen, you don't keep anymore your citizen. The wife doesn't have any rights to that." So, and anyway, so that means we're subject to be shot. So, but the interpreter was not telling, the Greek interpreter was not telling the German commander everything that we were saying. So my mother, with her meager German, he turned to the German commander and says, "Ich bin Italienisch geboren. Mein Vater war Italienisch." The German shook up. The interpreter says, "Don't talk to him, talk to me. I'm the interpreter." No. The German commander just calmed down, says, "Well, we have to investigate this further in that case." Now, which means we're going to be shot. We spent one night in a cell, in a prison cell, a family of 5. Oh, another thing is when we came back, my sister wasn't there. My mother thought she came with us. We thought my sister was caught. We were just in a panic until we got some message that my sister has escaped by uncle. My uncle, my only uncle, who was Joseph, whose family was already in the mountains. He had come to the house, picked up a bag of stuff, and he saw my sister walking in the yard. She grabbed her, it would look better, and he took her with him, and he came to the bridge the same way, but did not cross the bridge like we were supposed to. He walked downstream from the river. He found 2 gypsies or Roma people who agreed to carry them across, to ford the river, carry them across, and pay them and everything. That's how my Uncle Joseph and my sister escaped. They went to the mountains and joined the rest of the family. So anyway, but they took us there. So they locked us in a cell, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And the guards would say, "Well, I wouldn't worry too much." The cell was a bare closet, no furniture, no nothing, no water, no nothing. Just 5 people locked up in there. That's why we spent the night. And then the next morning came, they didn't shoot us. Something happened. So now then, we had to transfer you to Baron Hirsch in Salonika, transit camp, and ship you to Auschwitz. That's it. So on the way back there, my mother convinced the Greek police, says, "Can I still stop at the post office and send a telegram?" Yeah, okay. Not yet. Send a telegram. Okay. All right, okay. Oh yeah, that's it. Stay there. We'll get there. Send a telegram to the Italian consulate. It says, "Aiuto urgente. Please help, urgent. So anyway, so then we got to Baron Hirsch. We were interrogated. "Why did you surrender like the others?" "Well, because my wife says I was born in France." "That doesn't count. You were born in France." And then it was all the interrogation was done by Jewish collaborators. They were Jewish collaborators. The worst one was Vital Hasson, anyway. But that doesn't count. But then there was a silent German officer sitting in the back, standing and saying nothing. And what was his name? I have a strong suspicion that the man standing there and listening and doing nothing was Kurt Waldheim, because he was stationed in Salonika at that time. He was right there. He was supposed to be right there. Kurt Waldheim was there. He was holding in his hand a copy of a telegram that my mother had sent to the Italian consulate. Help, help. Yeah. So, anyway, but because of that telegram, they did not want to shoot us. So stay in the camp. We stayed in the camp, and then, the camp was surrounded by barbed wire fences. It was all that thing, and they gave us 1 meal a day, and then what else? They were scheduled for waiting for the next train. The camp, Baronhurst camp, it was a ghetto. It has strange names. I felt good about it. The main thoroughfare of the camp was Moses Avenue. There were streets called Bialik Street, Palestine Street, all kinds of things like that. Very strange. But, and there were other kids in the camp. And I was happy. After hiding in the basement for some time, I was happy to be outside and run around play with other kids. What do kids do in a camp? Play. We played. Kids that were going to be scheduled for death were playing games. What did we play with? Baby strollers. There were lots of abandoned baby strollers. We used them, and we had races with baby strollers. That's what kids did. And then, in the meantime, this some diplomatic activity was happening. Okay. We can go next one. Well, before that. Okay. That's that. That's the one. That's the one I want. Okay. The convoy was, which were due to be for Auschwitz, was convoy 18. It was a few days away. It was coming to June 1, with end of May then. So the telegram that my mother sent and other people had made appeals to the Italian consulate. How about the families for the wives or the mothers had been born Italian citizens? What about it? So it was diplomatic activity. So the Italian consul in Salonika, Guelfo Zamboni, sent an inquiry to the Italian ambassador in Athens, who was Antonio Venturini. He says, what shall I do? These Jews are asking me for help. What can I do? What should I do? Says the ambassador says, do anything you can to help. But in the meantime, I'm sending an inquiry to Rome, to the Italian government. Can you hold this on my hand hurts. Italian consul in Rome, I just send an inquiry. So the inquiry came to Rome. Mussolini's foreign minister, who was Giuseppe, his foreign minister, who turned it over. Let me see what his name was. Let me see what. Not Bastianini. What? Ciano. Ciano was Mussolini's son-in-law, and he was the foreign minister in Rome. He got this telegram from Athens. He turned it over to his deputy, Giuseppe Bastianini. He says, take a look at this. You handle this situation. And Bastianini said on this, and blah, blah, blah. And then he finally sent a letter to Greece. Well, you are asking me. Okay, thank you. Okay, close to my mouth. And then Giuseppe Bastianini says to the Italian diplomats in Greece, so you're asking me, what do we do? How do we handle a situation where the mother or the wife was Italian citizen, but they are married to a Greek citizen now? How do we handle the situation? He said, Bastianini says, well, I don't think we have an answer yet. I don't think we can consider him Italian anyway. That's not correct. However, that was the first paragraph. It says, no, they're not Italian. We cannot recognize them as Italian citizens. And then second paragraph says, however, we have to examine the situation further. In the meantime, why don't you take these families out of the camp until we decide what the fate was going to be? Okay. And then the order came. All these families where the mother or the wife was Italian citizen come out of the camp. Ironically, everybody got out except our family. They just couldn't find my mother's family, my mother's name, any place, any proof that she was born in Tennessee. The other families got out, and two of my families, my mother's cousins, long cousins, Matilde and Ida Matalon, no, not Matalon, Ida Modiano, decided, look, Bella, we're gonna, as soon as we get out, we're gonna turn heaven and earth to find proof that you were also born Italian citizen. Because everybody had left, and we were left behind, and the train was gonna leave in 3 days. And then, finally came the order, okay, you two. So they got out, my mother and my two brothers and I. My sister was still in the mountains. We got out, but then what about my father? And the other women says, how about our husbands? They went clamoring to the Italian consulate, what can we do? We got our fathers, our mother, husbands and everything. Finally, the train was going to leave to Auschwitz. The Italian consulate sent the army attaché to the Baron Hirsch transit camp, says, make sure that whatever happens, they don't take these men. They're still examining their case. So they locked up my father and the other men, locked them up while they shipped all the rest to Auschwitz and convoy number 18. So, and then a few days later, my father came out of the camp along with the other men. My father was holding a piece of paper in his hand. And I have a picture of that, not my father's, somebody else's. A picture, Certificato di Nazionalità Italiana, Certificate of Italian Nationality. On the margin says provisorio, temporary. So the Italians came with a gimmick, grant these men temporary Italian citizenship. Have you heard of temporary citizenship? They granted temporary Italian citizenship so they could get out and not be shipped to Auschwitz. So my father came holding this piece of paper, and we said, okay, now, we breathed a little bit. Okay, we got my sister out of the mountains somehow through many different means. And finally, we're sitting in Salonika, all Italian Jews, Jewish families with their mothers being Italian citizens, sitting there. And then an order came from the Germans, says, to Italians, says, well, we do not have any more, we do not need any more Jews staying in Salonika. So, okay, that was, said, convoy 18, that was just it, that's it. So, and then the Italians says, okay, you want these people? They told the Italians, take them to the Italian zone by August 1, August 15 or something like that. If they still stay around, we'll ship them to Auschwitz. The Italians says, but okay, we don't have any train cars to take them to Athens. Well, we cannot spare any train cars as the Germans. So the Italians rushed, emergency, they shipped first-class train cars from Italy, and the Germans agreed reluctantly to supply the locomotive, engine, and they shipped them to us. And then, a few days before the deadline, they told us to pack and be ready, and we mounted the train. We're going to leave soon, and lo and behold, I think take the next picture. Lo and behold, the Germans wouldn't let the train go. We're loading the train, says, well, we cannot let it go because the engine, they took the engine away. So they let us stranded there. And then they asked, well, how about paying fare for the train trip? What fare, says the Italian? We'll supply our own cars, first-class cars. And then they almost got into a fight. The Germans and the Italian officers. The Italian officers says, the German officers, I'll report you to Rome, to Mussolini. And here's what Becky, the illustrator of the book, shows is the wolf there is the German. And the jaguar there in the back is a German, a wild animal. The wolf there with the little baby wolves is Italian. You know, that's Italy was formed by, Rome was formed by Romulus and Remus, you know, the wolf fed the little boys everything. So that's an allegorical thing that the Italians were fighting face. Okay, go ahead, next. And then, I don't know what this is. Oh, okay. So we stay on the train, then they were supposed to leave at noon. The train was delayed, they took the engine, and they were supposed to leave at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. The deadline was coming midnight. Any Jew was found there would be deported. Well, anyway, the German said, well, there's some congestions in the station down south in Larissa. And the Italian officer called up Larissa, the station master, says, what congestion? The station master from Larissa says, what congestion? There was no congestion. So finally, the German says, but we have to have also German guards on each car. They had Italian guards, but well, finally they agreed to have one German officer in each car just to watch, to guard us. And we had an Italian officer inside the car and a German officer. And then we go on the way. Every once in a while they would stop to tear the engine away. It was stranded and everything. This trip from Salonika to Athens takes today 6 hours. Well, eventually it took us 6 days anyway, because they could. Anyway, but so, I don't know what else here. Okay. Okay, sorry, am I talking too much? Okay, all right. Yeah. So anyway, so went to Athens, and then the Italians tried to help us there, but anyway, in Athens, Italy surrendered, and we decided it's not safe to stay alive to escape. We went to a mountain village to escape, and then one day somebody came, some Greek Gestapo agents came, and they held us up. They wanted the money. They were going to take us in right away, and we bribed them, and then finally we went to here, and then that was Miracle 6. And then we went to, so we're trying to run away from this place. Farmer warned us. And then we went to a suburb of Athens and hiding in a basement. We had false names and everything, Greek names and everything. And one day, the Greek collaborationist police found us out. We bribed them. They left us alone for a while. And then, it never rains in Athens. It was August. Who ever heard of a rain in Athens in August? And yet, one day in August, rain comes pouring down. The streets turn into rivers, and we had to leave this basement apartment hiding, go to a neighbor Greek woman took us in, and then what happened is, a few days later, this police, collaborationist police, knocked on her door, says, where is the family that was there? She says, I don't know. They were flooded and they left. So the flood was our seventh miracle that saved us. And that's the end of the story. And I just, coming back to Greece, this is 1946, and then the Holocaust Survivor in Salonika, and this is our first Thanksgiving in America. We came to America. There's a lot of details. Read my book. Sorry, I cannot, read my book. First Thanksgiving in America. Left to right, my brother Aaron, myself, my sister Sarah, my father, my brother Sam, my mother, and that's it. Thanksgiving 1955. Never again. Nunca más. Protection na. Okay? Okay. Okay. Oh, take this. Okay. Take it. Put. Okay. Sorry.
have questions.
Sorry. I get carried away.
Maybe questions.
What, because you finished with your first Thanksgiving,
What was?
no, you finished your story.
Yeah. And then we came to America.
And then you finished your story
Yeah.
with your first Thanksgiving in the United States. I was just wondering, what did you eat? Turkey, Greek food?
We keep kosher and we got Greek turkey and everything. We follow the tradition. We came American, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then I continued school at the IIT school. IIT. I graduated from IIT. If you allow me to brag, I graduated from IIT as number one student in the whole class of 1957. Number one. Okay, all right, I brag about it. Okay, okay. Then I was at IIT. I stayed there for doing research, and then I became a professor there. And finally, one day, Northwestern called me up. You want to come over here? They gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I went to Northwestern, and I stayed there and taught and did research for the next 32 years. And a few years ago, I retired finally.